Kill all opponents swiftly, your host, man. Yeah, let's get it in, man. Let's dance our stress away first. Hey! Nothing but good vibes here, y'all. Nothing but good vibes here. Hey! Go, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hey! Hey! Let's go! Hey, man.
I can see clear now, the brain is gone.
Welcome back.
Now I must move on.
Welcome back to Street Therapy. I'm your host, Killing All Opponents Swiftly. And today, like all other days, we're going to be first thankful that we're alive. We're going to be thankful that we got good health. We're going to be thankful that our people's got good health. They're alive, you know. Listen, man, even if our people's passed away, we're going to be thankful that they ain't got to stress and worry about none of their haters no more, you know. Listen, man, we are definitely here on Street Therapy to give therapy sessions to brothers who are in the streets or who used to be in the streets, people who are affected by the streets. And a lot of times, man, in our communities, man, you know, brothers, we just so hard, like, you know, it's kind of taboo for us to go seek help for our emotional and mental problems, man. So Street Therapy, man, we're here to get therapeutic sessions to the brothers and sisters around the world, no matter their race, background, upbringing. Tune in, man, keep it in, and let's get our show started, shall we? Okay, first off today, I want to say that my video dropped. I got singles in stores. Make sure you cop that. Okay. Brothers. Today I want to dealing with the return out of prison. This is for my brothers who's been incarcerated and you're home, or my brothers who's on their way home. And you're going through some things, you know, internally, you know, trying to figure out how you're going to make your next move and what's to face, man. I want to start with stressing from not knowing what's ahead. Being incarcerated, when you get that release date, when your date's coming up, it's like you've been locked up for all these years and now you have to come back home to society. And society looks at you as if you was just in some normal conditions for the last couple of years. You worry about so much, how you gonna get money. How will you function in society? Will you get a job? What type of job will you get? Will the people that you left still be there for you? Will the community that you left welcome you back with open arms? Your living situation, where you're gonna live, and how you're gonna get around, and how you're gonna do this, and how you're gonna do that. These are all things that most brothers, when they come home from prison, they stress about. And it's to be expected. It's rough coming home from prison and you don't have that sure game plan, you know, like that sure game plan. You don't have it. Forgive the lights, man. I'll fix that shit next episode. Brothers, when you think about when you was in the streets, you never knew what tomorrow would bring, you know? You never knew what the next minute could bring. Yet and still you stuck with it and you did what you had to do. It's the same thing when you come home from prison. You can't so much worry about things that you don't know what's going to happen. Just try to focus on things you can make happen. And never diminish anything that you accomplish, whether it be just getting up early in the morning and going to look for a job, grabbing a paper to look for a job, wherever the case may be. You know, congratulate yourself, because one step forward means another step closer to your goals, okay? But if you stand still, you become stagnated, then you'll never accomplish your goals. And stress coming out of prison, I have a brother stagnated. The fear of walking in the building and having to ask for an application, or will you hire me, and what to say, and then you have your criminal record behind you that's going to automatically give you a red flag. which they need to stop. But you can't allow that to stop you. You can't allow it to put fear in your heart. Stress is stress, brothers. When everything's going fine, we usually don't stress. When things are challenging and things are starting to become unknown, that's when the stress creeps in. You have to take your time when you come home, brothers. You and sisters. You have to take your time. You can't rush. It won't happen overnight. And society is not set up for you to win. So knowing that it's not set up for you to win, the last thing you should be trying to do is fit in society. Yes, don't fit in society. You are a special person. You have been incarcerated. You have been stripped of everything. You have seen some of the heinous acts in prison that people only talk about, okay? You're not normal. So you'll never be a normal citizen, so to speak. Yes, get a job, pay your taxes, stay out of trouble. True indeed. 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to start your business if you don't want to be placed in a certain tax bracket. We'll talk about that soon. So the stress of coming home, man, is going to have you frustrated, man. It's going to have you a little depressed, You combat that by thinking about what you've been through. The shootouts, the trials, the drug transactions, the street life, period. Like, you went through all of that with a smile, most of the time. Now you're home. Back out here. Piling up on you, man. As soon as you come home, people, they hand out, expecting you to save the day, pouring their problems on you. It's going to cause some stress, brothers, and you got to be able to deal with that stress, and you're going to fold. You're going to fold, man. There have been brothers and sisters who folded, and you see the outcome of them folding. You see them on drugs. You see them, just on demon time. So you can't allow yourself to go through that, brother. And I'm telling you, man, it's hard, man. It's hard. People don't understand how hard it is coming home from prison, man. They think like, oh, you're back home. Oh, yeah, just go fill out an application. You'll be good. That's not the case, man. We still dealing with our bodies being on a certain time schedule. We still dealing with our taste buds being damn near depleted because all we've been eating is the same thing for years. So it's rough, brother. So don't expect people who haven't been in prison to kind of like totally understand what you're going through. They're not going to be able to too much relate. Not saying that they're not sincere, not saying that people who haven't been in prison won't show you some compassion. But it's just a different thing, man. It's a different thing when you talk to somebody who hasn't been through what you've been through. So this is why I'm here, because I've been through mostly everything that y'all been through. I've been incarcerated, I've been, released, I've been sent back, then came back home again. I went from having things to losing it all to getting it back again to losing it again and getting it back. This is just a life cycle, man. Embrace the struggle. Besides the stress, and the best way to deal with that is just to know, like, you can only control what you can. You can only do what you can. And you got to leave the rest, to your creator, to the person that, the entity that you believe in. Because you made it out of prison. You made it out. So you can't count yourself out. Being out here in free society, so they call it, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. The things we've done in the past, they're affecting us now. The consequences for our actions. So don't be frustrated with that. The stress is going to come, but you got to kind of rationalize it. Make it make sense. Like, okay, I'm stressing about how I'm going to get this and how I'm going to get that. But I'm home now. It's possible. It's possible. You gotta sit down, think, create a plan, and carry it out, and stick to the script. Another thing that we're gonna face when you come home is fighting temptation. Oh, for my brothers, the temptation of women, and for my sisters, the temptation of men. For both, the temptation of money, the temptation of streets. It's so much temptation when you get out of prison. I can't even name them all, right? How do you combat this temptation? Temptation to go back to the streets. The first thing is recognizing your self-worth. Yeah, you're so much more than a drug dealer, brother. You're so much more than a prostitute sister. You're so much more than your job title, than your relative title. You are much more than that. When you learn who you are, when you can describe yourself, and you know this about yourself, the temptation lessons always going to be there. If you're human, you're always going to have temptation. But you lesser the temptations with your perception of life, your knowledge of who you are. Prime example, and I'm trying not to step on no toes because in the media, you got to be careful what you say. I'm a straight man. I don't deal with homosexuality, right? So that's not a temptation for me because my mindset, how I think, how I perceive, okay? Crack cocaine, like I'm not smoking no crack. My mind, my body, my soul, my spirit, my vision, my thinking, it has no curiosity about crack cocaine, okay? So certain temptations lessen when you get your mind right, okay? When you have knowledge of self and you know who you are. Like when you know who you are, you know you're too good for certain things. Like I smoke miles, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to cut out miles and stuff like that because I'm like, my body's my temple, you know what I mean? I don't want to keep putting this poison in, but I'm addicted to miles. So slowly but surely, boom. Like you see how that works? I recognize what my temptations are. I recognize where my weaknesses are. I know me. And the more you know you, the more you'll be able to combat certain they won't even tempt you. It won't even be tempting. Like it's not tempting for me to go and shoot up no people in a mass shooting. Like I'm not tempted to even do that, okay? So whatever's tempting you or whatever temptations you have, check your way of thinking, brothers and sisters, okay? Check your way of thinking because that's when it's temptation to stop. It'll lessen. It's always going to be there. Temptation is always going to be there. If it ain't this, it's going to be that. If this ain't tempting you, it's going to be that. So it's always going to be there. But when you have knowledge of self and you know who you are, it's just a better weapon to use against temptation. Right? When you are released, when you are in prison, they strip a lot of stuff from us. So the temptation ain't really there because it ain't too much you can get into. It ain't too much you have. It ain't too much you can do. So it's not there. Being released back into society, and especially how society is now, which is totally different from when you went in. If you did 10 years or better or 5 years or better, it's totally different from when you went in. Man, everything's coming at you. All types of temptations coming at you, man. All types. You got to stay focused, though, because you can't afford a oops. You get out, you either got probation, parole, and you might be in a halfway house. So you're still locked up until all those three things are no longer an equation in your life. Okay? And you got to remind yourself of that. Remind yourself that even though you're walking out in the free world, you on probation or you on parole or you're in a halfway house, just know that you're not free. Train your mind to say, I'm out here, but I'm not free just yet. Because thinking that you free and have you wanting to do stuff free people can do. And you can't do everything free people can do. So you're not free. You're thinking. It's all about how you think, your perception, what you know about the world and yourself. But first and foremost, you have to know yourself. Know yourself so can't nobody tell you about yourself. So when they say you're a convicted felon, you say, no, I'm not. I'm not a convicted felon, but you've been convicted of a felony. Yes, I have, but that's not who I am. That's what y'all labeled me as when I broke some of the laws that y'all created. And the laws that y'all created, we all know are based on crookedness and evilness, so why would I care about breaking your laws? However, I understand laws need to be in place. And I did break some laws and I did my time for that. But I refuse to call myself for the rest of my life a convicted felon. I refuse to address myself as that. I refuse to put that in my brain that I'm a convicted felon. No. I'm a child of God. I'm a God on earth. You know, these are the things I know about myself to be true. And this is who I am. Ways to stay focused when you out, brothers and sisters. Let me tell you how to stay focused. If you have children, keep your eyes on them. Everything you do, just keep your eyes on them. Every time you think you got some free time, look at your children. When you're ready to give up and quit, look at your children. This will help you stay focused. It seriously will. Because they're watching you. And you are their hero. You want to be a superhero. You want to be popular. You want people to look up to you. Well, look at your kids. Those are your biggest fans. Don't let them down. Don't let them down. They're watching you. As long as you watch them watch you, you'll watch yourself. You'll watch what you do. Again, the temptations are lessened the more you focus on your children. For those who don't have children, how do you stay focused out here with all this stuff going on? Well, think about your family. Think about the ones who wrote you, the ones who sent you money, the ones who came to visit you, the ones who welcomed you home. Think about them. Because what you do doesn't just affect you. It never did. Everything that you do affects somebody else outside of yourself. If you sell drugs and you gave it to somebody and you just gave them the drugs to use, well, how do you know that the drug that you're giving them is the reason why their family is fucked up at the house or their kids are going without at the house? Okay? So when you focus on people that you love and you focus on outside of yourself, it'll keep you on the straight and narrow for the most part. You stay focused about remembering your game plan. That's why I say write your game plan out. Write it out on a piece of paper so you can, every time you think you about to slip back and somebody about to call you, you get that urge in you, you look at that paper and you remind yourself what you out here for. You remind yourself why you woke up today. You remind yourself why you're traveling in this direction. Having it written down is a visual. It's like you can see it. It's like, oh, okay? Having it up here, it's going to be too much going on up here for you to remember everything. Things will get sidetracked. So write your game plan down if you don't have children. And if you have children, constantly think about your children. Constantly think about them. Think about, you don't want them going through what you went through. So you got to make sure they don't never have that as an option. You set it up to where they never have that as an option to turn to the streets. Okay? And it's not guaranteed that they won't. Because trust me, kids going to do what they want to do when they get a certain age. But you just set up the platform, you set up the foundation for them. So if they do mess up, they won't have that excuse, well, damn, mommy, daddy, you ain't had nothing for me. I had to go out here and get it. Right? So you make sure they don't got to say that. You make sure they don't have to say that. And that'll keep you focused. When I talk about the stress, the fighting the temptation, that is a serious thing that a lot of people are overlooking. When it comes to people coming home from prison, they overlooking the fact like, yo, these brothers are faced with way more than we faced with. You know, you stay focused, man, by remembering where the hell you just left. Man. I'm not institutionalized, but trust me, it's probably not a day since I've been out that I don't think about either somebody who was locked up. I think about certain days I was in there, how I might have been laying on the bunk or walking the yard, doing my, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's every day I think about that. And it keeps me focused. It, like, trust me, man, I've been having people attack me. Not attack me physically, but you know, I'm like, you know how the internet is and all that. And I gotta remember stories about brothers who flipped out over some stupid shit and now they in it for the rest of their life. And how they regret it. How it wasn't worth it. You know? That 1 minute can change your whole life. So, trust me, man, I always think about prison. It doesn't sadden me. It helps me appreciate what I'm going through out here. Yeah, it does. Hell yeah. It's the same way I think about death. See, let me tell y'all something, man. See, a lot of... When you constantly think about prison, you think twice before you do something that can land you in prison, if that makes sense to you. It's the same thing with death. People who know me, they say, why are you always talking about death? I'm like, listen, man, first of all, we all gonna die. I'm not scared of dying. And thinking about death helps me enjoy life. I am not problem free. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I got issues too I gotta deal with. However, I always think about death like one day I'm gonna die. And it helps me look at the problems that I have and say, you know what? They problems, but they'll be all right. I'll be all right. I'm gonna enjoy my life with these problems. Because I'm not gonna let these problems stop me from enjoying my life, because I can worry about these problems, but I don't know when I'm gonna die. And I don't want to die worrying about problems, if that makes sense to you. It helps me brush stuff off. Like, yeah, I could go there and do this and prove a point, but for what? I'd rather use my time and my energy for something that's going to complete my master game plan. Because I got to stick to the script, so I got to stick to the script. So, you want to remember where you came from to make sure that you don't never go back. And don't just think about the prison. Think pre-prison. Think about the way you was thinking before you landed in prison. Because the way you was thinking landed you in prison. So the first thing, change the way you thinking. Then you remind yourself of how you got in prison, what you had to go through in prison. So as you're free, you're never rolling the dice to get back there. Right? I should charge y'all for this information. I will one day. Anyway, so things to avoid when you come home from prison. Fake ass friends, old ass neighborhoods, drugs and alcohol, promiscuous women. Did I say phony ass friends? Did I say old neighborhoods? Listen, brothers. If I was a crackhead and say I got clean, and then I'm clean, I'm coming out the rehab, and the first place I go is to visit my old buddies in the crackhead, what's liable to happen to me, brothers? I done put myself back in a fire of temptation. Instead of me lessen my temptation, I enhanced it. I went right back to the crack house. Nah, I'm not on crack. I never use drugs. I smoke weed, but never, you know what I'm saying? Just because people on the internet is funny and stuff. You gotta say certain stuff. But anyway, back to what I was saying. You know, so when you come home from prison, brother, don't run back to the block. Stay far away from the spot that you got locked up in. Stay far away from the people who can get you back where you was going, when you just left. I missed my friends. I missed them. You know, most of my street buddies who I ran the streets with, like, you know, we can trade stories, they're dead. I have 1, 2, 3 that I actually ran, like, sold drugs with, did dirt with. I probably got like 2 home. 2 home. I made 3 out of like 12. You going back home to the same shit. Is that part of your game plan? You know, like the be back where you can fucking get me back in jail. Let me go back around. When you come home, I was a federal inmate, right? So federal inmates, they differ from state inmates. I'm gonna tell you how. Like the federal government, think about who the feds are and who they lock up. So you're not, it's like the state just lock up state motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? You do something in the state, you get locked up. The feds, it's like the whole United States of America versus you. When you get the fuck home, brother, don't think they not watching. I know you ain't making enough money for them to watch you. You're nobody. They not gonna watch you. They got bigger. Brother, stop. You have been in the federal system, brother. You have been in contact with terrorists, kingpins, mob figures, mass murderers. You psycho, like you've been in contact with a lot of motherfuckers. There ain't no telling what them people could have told you. Now this is me telling you that. What the fuck you think they thinking? So yeah, you're being watched. So one thing to avoid is the hood where they selling drugs and shit at. And you know the feds is watching the niggas who selling drugs. Like you walking right into the camera. Oh shit, look what we got on camera today. He must have just came home. No, avoid that shit. Avoid it. Your homies. How you avoid your homies, man? Especially because you need some dough. You need some money now. How you avoid your homies? These niggas ain't never do nothing to you. They just in the streets. Stay focused on your game plan because they damn sure focused on theirs. And they will not let your life interrupt theirs, or don't let their life interrupt yours. If they really your friends, they really fuck with you, they gonna respect it. My homies respect it. You know what I mean? Dudes, you know they respect it. I'm not, listen, bro, I like the money. You're looking good, and I like the shit that you're driving. I see how you take care of your family, and I'm fucked up, so I would love to have that money, but guess what? I'm gonna get it another way. We all can't do the same thing. I gotta show my homies another way out. And they gonna look, show us another way out. If you don't, at least we got this and you can always come back here. But do I go out and I seek them out? No. It's not that I don't love them. I don't know. I'm just focused on my game plan, bro. So what I gotta do, I can't allow this shit to fuck with me because it only take me jumping in your car one time and you got some shit, I'm assed out. You know what I'm saying? I'm gone. There's nothing, you might get a bell, you might get an R&R, but when they come past my name and my record and me just, you going right back. You ain't supposed, they gonna find you ain't supposed to be around a fucking convicted felon, you ain't supposed to be around no drugs, you ain't supposed to do this, you violated your parole, your probation, you going back to jail. That's where we want you at. That's what happens. So I avoid all that. So avoid all that. Yes, avoid it. Avoid that crooked ass baby mama, man. If you know she's a trigger and she's gonna stress you out and she's gonna come at you, avoid her. Get your shit together. Hey, file for your rights. File for your rights, brothers. Avoid people who are full of drama. Yeah, always in some shit. People shooting at them, they always doing. Avoid them. Y'all think y'all weak if you stay away from the hood. Do you know we hustle to get out of the hood? Once you make it out of the hood, why would you go back? What happened to Nipsey when he went back? It's not to say don't go back and strengthen your community, but strengthen your community from a safe distance and strengthen your community, but don't live there unless that whole community turns into a Beverly Hills type setting, okay? But other than that, man, if it's still a trap, if it's still the hood, then you gotta leave that shit alone, bro. You know, it's other things you can do with your life. The hood will be there. Dudes will be 50, 60 years old, still drinking on the same goddamn corner, still standing on the same damn corner. Just because the people around that area big them up, do you think that's a life that that's you know what I mean? That's what you want to do? They giving out awards for that shit? You avoid certain things, but you have to, brothers and sisters, you have to avoid certain things so you don't get trapped off, man. If you know you got locked up on such and such block, don't go to that block, man. For what? For what? You was the man when you was home. You get this money. If you trying to change your life, brother, you might want to avoid the people who going to encourage you to get back to what you're doing. I talk to too many real kingpins, stand-up kingpins, personally. From their mouth to mine to yours, it's not worth it. The people they love, supported, turned on them. People they put to the top of the, turned on them, left them. So when you come home, remember the ones who got life, who's never coming home. Right when you get frustrated because your money ain't right, remember, there's 1,700 brothers on that compound who would love to trade places with you. Okay? And these are some of the things to avoid when you get home, man. So, I'm not going to talk your head off, but I want y'all to play the tape if you know somebody who might need to hear something from a brother who's been in prison. Tell them, man. Log on. Like and subscribe, check me out, support my music, support my channels, you know, support life. My street therapy is hood, it's not politically correct, but the audience I'm reaching, the audience I tend to reach, them people with them PhDs and all them goddamn degrees, they not coming to the hood to talk to y'all. They don't even know how to talk to you. They too scared first and foremost, and they can't relate. You know, some of you single mothers and single fathers, y'all don't know how to relate to your child because you've never been in the street. Send them over here to me, man. Put on the channel, tell them, hey, this is a brother from the street. There you go. Hey, sometimes I'm going to say the same thing, but they just going to hear it different from me because I've been through it. You know, I've been through it. Well, that concludes today's session of street therapy, dealing with the return out of prison. I hope I said something very useful to you people. I hope that if I made any mistakes, y'all forgive me and know that I'm human. And I just want to appreciate y'all for tuning in, checking in. You know, I'm having a great time, man. I'm hardworking, doing everything. You see the bags and our lack of sleep or goals getting accomplished, man. All right, this is Street Therapy. I am your host, killing all opponents swiftly. Until next time, we're going to rock out. Stay tuned. I am doing a bunch, so be patient with me. And we're going to keep this thing going, man. Everything's going to get bigger and better in time, man. Bigger and better in time, man. We're starting from the bottom, but that's the best place to start, man. You know? Ownership, man. Support your own, man. And this is how we do it. This is my single, Everything is Clear. It's out on all major platforms. Wrote and produced by me. Street Therapy, man. Hold your head.